Welcome everybody, and especially Leila. You have been living in Canada?
Yes, 6
Your father
years.
has been living in the Netherlands?
Oh yes, he studied here and he got married here. And
got married here?
Yes, he met my mother here, and my first sister was born in Amsterdam. Yep.
Okay, that's a good place to be born. Yeah.
To born, yes.
Leila just came 2 days ago to the Netherlands.
Yes.
In fact, to present her your newest book, Pulang.
Yes.
Today you had an interview already with Jos.
Yes.
And next Sunday,
another discussion on the novel.
On the novel.
From the historical point of view.
Yeah, by Wim Manhutu.
Yes.
So everybody who wants, please come. And your presence here was exploited by the people of Tong Tong Fair, because he said
yes.
You're the person, because you also write film reviews in Tempo,
yes.
And because they had this looming fire exhibition, they thought you can give us a very good review on that. So you flew in, and you went to this exhibition, was drowned probably.
Yes.
Please, what were your first impressions?
Okay, it's a very overwhelming exhibition, or I should say maybe installation, art installation, because there were many. There's what 15 or 12 or 15 screens like that. There are a lot, and but for a young generation like me, I was born in 1962. I'm probably one of the few people who understand Holland as a country where my parents studied, but for my other peers, we only understand, like what we understand Holland in the history book, the formal history book, as a colonial. So what I saw there, it was very interesting. It was very unique. I saw there's a lot of politics, family stories, some happiness, some personal stories. I could see there's a lot of stories of the high class, the sultanates. Yeah, I'm talking the visuals, of course, now, just the visual. The sultanates, and how the royal family from Yogyakarta were friends with some Europeans. Apparently that's the dentist, doctor. And I also see, I was wondering myself about the way that the curator, Péter Forgács, tried to split the screen and always make the contrast between what happened with the Indonesian, or maybe that time it's called the Dutch Indies, or the Indies people, and there at the left side he's gonna put, all the Dutch people with the white costume. So for me, because I've been reviewing movies and it's more story, pictures, and these are home movies taken from archives, and to me it's like several storytelling, and it's a montage, and you cannot help but trying to imagine what really happened that time. You see what I mean? And that's my first impression. But the other one that is more startling, more a little bit shocking to me, it's the text.
Because and I think it's important to tell that you received the
I
translated
received
fragments of text of the
the ones there are in Dutch. Obviously, I don't understand, so I received the translation, and it was easier to read rather than to listen sometimes, because when you read, you have more time to think. And some of the texts that I receive, they really show that how although that we learn history only by just names and location and wars, wars that was lost and won for so many times and so many years. These are actually the ones, although that I still consider this as the art exhibition, but to me, there is the element of history that really make up the whole thing, you know. So maybe we can talk about the examples later, but again, from all these letters and all these statements from several Dutch people here, you can feel that there is some politics and some, I don't want to say innocence, but some naive, a little bit naive about what really happened there. There is some, I'm sorry to say, but a little bit arrogant sometimes in some of the letters. But it sort of taught me and gave me more information about what really happened there, or some things that really happened there.
It gave you more information?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But can you give an example of this small politics or
yes.
arrogance?
For example, shall I just talk about the page 10?
You can talk about page 10 if you want to.
Yes.
Page 10 is Walraven. But it's in it, so it's one of the...
Yeah, okay. But I'll just read a little bit that really shocked me. It's translated into English. It says, all natives want to be white. If they could become white by cutting off their little finger, the whole of the Indies would be full of people with loop of pinkies. Those words, you know, like, this is 2014, obviously, and of course, we are in a different century, but it was shocking for me to read this, you know. But at the same time, it's interesting that sometimes it's true that some people feel there is not beauty, but there is something interesting to be white, and that's why they have, I'm talking from physically, that's why they all create, you know, the white cream for you know, from people from the tropical countries. Yeah. Whereas people in the West, they want to have tan, yeah? But I'm talking really physically, that, and this is what we criticize in Indonesia, that why do you want to be white, you know? Like, why do you want to be, you know, why don't you just appear the way you are? But here, this is not about physical, it's much more, I feel that it's much more about privilege, politics, and whatever you can gain if you're white. That's what I felt. And this statement not only shocked me, but it kind of hurts me. It hurts anybody, you know, in this century to read something like this. Yeah, that's the one example.
That's one example. But it hurts because you're looking from this century to that.
Well,
or
I don't understand why anybody want to be another race, you know? Like, I'm fine and I'm proud with who I am. So I just don't get it, you know. Yeah. So this, and then because it says all natives want to be white, you know. So it's self-explanatory.
What is the annoyance? Is the annoyance because it comes from another era? It comes from another, In fact, it comes from another society, a society that isn't there anymore.
Yes. Well,
it's
the society
like
in Indo, it comes from, well, it has something to do with also the colonization and everything, But I think what I said, it gives me information, and what I learned from here, that although this is an art, or maybe Peter preferred to call it a video installation or art exhibition, I think I would call it an art exhibition that was inspired by history. So history maybe is only like the backdrop, But I think he really purposely create and select certain visuals and certain text, and although he put it as if it's just like a collage, like a montage, but he did it beautifully, and it really make you think, and you definitely will have a debate on the ones that he chose.
But would like the annoyance that you have from a text which is quite.
This is one
direct,
text. We still have other texts. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the other thing.
Yes.
But let's stick to this one.
Yes.
It's one a kind of statement or a remark from this era. Do you have the idea that you have? I know you have seen a lot of the things. You didn't see everything, but do you have a same kind of annoyance with some of the visual parts?
The visual, yes. Although I think, like I said, that he tried to make a split screen, and it's a two totally different film, two totally different file. You know, one file maybe was made by another family, and the other one, but then it's from the same era, from the same period. So, and then he would put, you know, for example, sugar company in the office and all, you know, Dutch people, and then really neat white shirt and suit, and then on the other screen was the worker, what is ladang, the farm, the farm, okay. And the thing is, I know that it's still happening anyway, although maybe the owner, the capital now are Indonesians, the rich Indonesians, and you know, it's still happening. It's still the same. But it's just interesting to see that, oh, this is what happened, and this is why colonization, not only, you know, Holland towards Indonesia, but also the world, you know, British in Africa and so on. It's, you know, partly it's because of this, you know, all the sugar and everything. So I think he purposely put it together, and that's why when he decided, you know, to put things together, one to the other, he already he really tried to make us think. But on the other hand, I have to admit there are some movies that really shows the what you call damai, the peace, the peaceful, the nice part. For example, the Yogyakarta part, that was really peaceful.
You mean the Yogyakarta part with the kraton and the...
Not only the kraton, but even the people on the street, they look really peaceful, and it's kind of melancholic. You know, it makes us want to go back to the era where there's no pollution, no many cars, no many motorcycles, and people are still using beca or sepeda, you know, bicycle, and you know, it's not crowded and everything. So I kind of understand why sometimes we think, oh my God, you know, in the early 90s, you know, it's not dirty, and Yogyakarta was still, and Jakarta, Batavia was still. But when we say things like that, we didn't really mention about, you know, the colonization. We just think about, oh, no pollution, not many cars. You see what I mean? Like, it's much more about the architecture.
You mean that's one of the dimensions of the moving image that you see. It's one of the dimensions of the exhibition.
Yes.
It's like early on there was a discussion here with among others Herman Keppi, who was a Moluccan.
Yes.
And he said one of the things that I liked about it, that it's not politically correct, that we can see how people are wearing this knil hat and how people are walking on the streets. So for him it was more like, not really, but coming home, because he's too young, but like coming home in this colonial era and at least see how people were walking in this empty streets, not politically correct. So that's one dimension of it.
Of course.
But
sure.
it's a dimension that you see if you don't take in the statement that's there also by making two screens mirroring each other.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're...
No, for me, it is politically incorrect. A lot of things there are but then the way I see it is really because I was born in a more modern time. You know, I didn't live in that period And I kind of thank God that I didn't live in that period, because, I was talking with my friend that if I live in that period, what I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna be an assassination, someone who assassinated, one of those guys, I don't think that I can stand all this, Well, that's just an imagination, but, and my friend said, maybe I'm gonna be a nyai, and I said, I'm not gonna be a nyai, I'm gonna kill them. I don't know how, but I'm gonna kill them, So after that, if they kill me, that's fine, but then the thing is, it's a modern thinking, because, I was born in the 60s, so, but I just want to give you a little bit. I as a journalist, I interview Nelson Mandela, and one of the things that he mentioned, about apartheid and everything, because I said, oh my God, how could you live like that? But I interview him after he already have negotiation with de Klerk. He wasn't a president yet, but apartheid was already abolished. So he came
formally.
Yeah, formally, but he's not yet the president. So the president was still de Klerk. So he came to visit Indonesia because of Bandung and everything. So I interviewed him and I said, look, one thing that amazed me that that how could you ever live like that? And after that, he said that he has to forgive.
To forgive.
Forgive. That's amazing. So and then he told me a lot of things that. Because if you keep that, then you're not going to survive. You fight, but then after that, after you achieve, then you have to. So, when I read all this, it's very foreign to me because I didn't live in this era. You see, but at the same time, I really have to look at how the way it was and try to understand how it was that time. You see, so that's the difference with the one that you mentioned.
With Herman. So you said it's not enough. I want to. There should be more. You have to read more in the films than just how the people walk.
Exactly. Because each screen, each file that Péter put there, that has its own story, and it's supposed to be more complete, because I'm sure he edited, it has more story, and we don't know the story, and we just imagine what's the ending.
We don't know the story, what he wanted to put in.
Exactly. Well, because we have our own interpretation. So
one of the other remarks was that, and it's a more kind of observation. Like it's a very beautiful exhibition with a lot of films, but in fact, it's an exposure of mainly colonial elite. Dominantly white colonial elite. Indo-Europeans are not there. What was your impression?
I didn't really count how many percent, but in general, of course, it's mainly the elite colonial, because obviously they want to be a film. Like they didn't. This is a home movies, so they didn't say that, okay, let's make a movie on our pembantu, right? They said, let's make a movie on the birthday of, right? Or the christening of someone, or the marriage of someone. So it has to be the middle upper class, obviously, because it's by them. So I wasn't that surprised, but I think he was right.
She.
Oh, she. Yeah. But I think I remember there was the burial. Yeah, there was burial. I think the burial one was, if we look at it from the modern point of view, from my point of view, that's also a little bit politically incorrect, because if we now, the 2014 journalists or documentary filmmaker, make that kind of film, they wouldn't film, they wouldn't shot the corpse with nude, but that was like nude, and that was surprising for me, because I know that's an Islamic, Islamic burial, when the corpse has to be washed, and I think she's a woman, and I think she comes from a middle, lower class. So that was interesting, like they film it, and then, in that kind of situation, that's for a standard, our standard now, that's politically incorrect.
But that means you wouldn't film it nowadays, but it's there in the old footage.
Yeah.
But
no.
would you say that you would be more careful by using it in an exhibition? Was it shocking to be confronted with it?
For example, if you and Péter Forgács bring it to Indonesia, I'm sure that one they wouldn't, the Indonesian Art Center, whatever, would say that we have to be careful with this one. Not only about the nudity, but it's because it's Islamic, So I think, they're going to...
That has to do with the present day pressure from Islam group?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and also about ethics and everything, because she died, and I don't think you should show that. So it's everything, not only religion, but also ethical, being ethical. Yeah. I mean, because I'm a journalist, we also have ethical that we're not allowed to show pictures with someone whose head was smashed, or violent pictures, and we're not allowed to show. When someone died, you sometimes, you still can see the face. Like in movies, even in Western movies, you show the face. But in Indonesia, it's not really ethical to show, And it's nothing to do with religion. It's just, you shouldn't. Yeah. So you just show the people who come and give respect. Yeah.
Well, in some of the films that you see in the installations, people are filming their pembantus.
Right.
So you will see this
and they also talk about it here in the text.
You can see them smelling the anggrek and so. And one of the it came already. These are slides from stills from the exhibition. Today you said something about because that's where people are filming Indonesians about the two girls. You were looking for the two little girls.
Oh, 4 little girls, the one that they were dancing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So what was it that struck you? It's
I was
two
wondering.
Girls
dancing
on front of the street.
I was.
I will say
disturbed,
when it comes to. Just talk
not
about
this
it.
One, yeah,
not this one.
Yeah, there are 4 girls. That was my first. Yesterday I saw it the first time. There were 4 girls, and I think. They were a little bit revealing in my opinion, a little bit revealing, and then they were dancing. But then I knew that that's not Balinese and it's not Javanese. So I was wondering, what were they doing?
This one.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I kind of wonder because I don't think that they were on stage or dancing. I don't think they were in a celebration, and. The movements were interestingly, not Javanese or Balinese. Yeah.
Not Javanese, but what?
Not Balinese or anything, or even Sumatra, Melayu, or none of the dance that I know. The movement are curious. So I'm too polite. So the movement are very, very curious. So that's why I was wondering, who are they? Who are they? And you already showed that there's the drum or whatever. Okay, so they're dancing. That's all. But I was wondering, what were they doing on the street? I think that's a street, right?
It looks like a street. Yeah.
They passed the houses. They made music, Western songs, a little bit live, and then there was also dancing, and it was named Ronsebos.
It was named
Ronsebos.
Ronsebos.
Ronsebos is the music.
Ronsebos is music. And then were dances. It's like street artists.
Just on the street.
And collecting money.
Oh, like
Nyamen.
Yeah, ngamen. Oh, okay.
Nyamen people.
Yeah, people on the street, singing, and then we have. Oh, okay.
But this is something not funny what happened, but
were really.
Yeah, so this is new information about what was happening.
Yes.
But at the same time, it evokes something because you see girls dancing and something is going.
Yes. I have other kind of imagination that I don't want to mention here. Yeah.
No, we will keep it. All right. There was some other text that you want to refer to.
Sure. I think there is. Sorry. The ones that I was interested was. About the pembantu. Well, first of all, maybe I want to mention that the language itself also were interesting. Again, because I'm looking from someone in the modern world, and we don't use the word pembantu. Kacung and babu.
Kacung and
You
babu,
know,
yeah.
for a long time we haven't ever used that, and for me it's still like, whoa, it's like I mentioned to Fridus. This is like if you say Negro for black people. It's politically incorrect. It's a no. You don't say babu or kacung. So, but of course, because that was the time, you have to say that. If I understand, if you're going say if a filmmaker is going to make a movie in 1920s, of course, that's the kind of language they use, right? For example, that there's a movie Sugiya that people are going to see it. That's what
That's
they.
the movie that's coming up after.
Yeah,
this
after this, you have to say kacung or pembantu, and of course I'm gonna keep getting shocked because I don't like those words. But then those are the words that it's used here, and
Okay, 38.
there
No.
was one, I forgot where, but
Okay,
I remember where someone was mentioning that how surprised she was when there's an Indonesian woman man talking to her, and she said that when he talked to me, it's like he feels equal. Yeah, that one. Yeah, here. They were in the Pasar Gambir, and then I stood with water in front of a kind of wooden submarine, the main attraction of which was a real periscope that you could look through. By chance, I was standing among some natives, and when it was our turn, to my surprise, one of them said, he looked to be one of the more wealthy ones, in perfect Dutch, "You can better lift that little boy, madam, he is too small." It was not intended to be rude in the least, but formerly a native would not even have considered talking to a Dutch person in that way. So I think this is a she. She actually started with, it was quite remarkable how different the natives generally behave. They are not always hostile, but many feel entirely equal to the Europeans. Now, again, for me, reading something like this, it's really like I really have to change my perception, but I have to get into that world. I have to get into that world to understand that people talk like this.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yes, okay, people are not equal here.
Well,
so she's surprised that but I'm not being cynical. I was really trying to, wow,
Yeah.
and I kind of wonder about my friends, who's even more harsher than I am about, capitalist America, blah blah blah. If they read this, it's gonna be harsher. Their reaction is gonna be harsher.
Well, I think especially for this fragment, which is, by the way, from a letter of Rien Kuik, written something about
It's actually a
1929.
positive one, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it's supposed to be positive, like she was.
And she is writing to her parents, and her father has been serving in Indonesia, and what she's doing, she's observing changes that happening in Indonesia.
Yeah, happening, yeah.
Also
yeah.
in the attitude of Indonesians towards, and in the Europeans towards
Europeans,
the Europeans.
Here, can I mention one more about Jan Pieter
but
Zoon-Koon? Okay.
Which could be interpreted in two ways.
Yeah. You're right.
But we're missing the context.
Because it's only a part of the...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But the next one.
Yeah, this Jan Pieter Zoon-Koon in Indonesia, we learn history. It's a symbol of a bad guy, right? So
Who's a bad guy?
Jan Pieter Zoon-Koon.
Jan Pieter Zoon-Koon.
Yeah, like when you mention
we didn't know.
when you mention Dandels or Jan Pieter Zoon-Koon, for Indonesians. So when I read this is interesting. Long articles about Jan Pieter Zoon-Koon have appeared in the newspaper. What a versatile and gifted man he must have been. It caused a stir over here that the native movement completely disregarded the commemoration of Koon. Well, of course. The native regions did not even send a telegram or anything. Well, duh. I can understand that they do not feel very much enthusiasm for this figure, but they most surely demonstrated their feelings very clearly. This is a very interesting one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what it has two things. One, yeah. Why is it so interesting for you?
Well, because because what a versatile and gifted man he must have been.
He was offended that nobody was sending a telegram for him.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, just give me a bridge, Jan Pieter Zoon Koen.
By the way, sorry, there have been two novels.
Yeah.
About one is a parody of Jan Pieter Zoon Koen. It's a parody, and it's one of the really good novel. It's actually a short novel, and the other one it's a realist Hindia Belanda, you know, the colonial, and also mention about how Jan Pieter Zoon Koen's way of doing his administration during his stay in Indonesia. So it's one is in 2013 last year, and the other one is new this year. So it's just interesting for me, you know, like the new generation is trying to, how do you say, trying to interpret what really happened that time, you know.
So this means we had in the Netherlands not so long ago an exhibition at the Tropenmuseum that's called Plesiran. And it's about people going on bicycles with colonial clothing and people reevaluating cultural heritage and so on and so on. And especially when it's called Plesiran, it seems like you can look back at the history in more joyful way. So does it mean that Indonesians are also reinterpreting the colonial era and that we can join in the fun together? That would be great. It would solve our colonial problem,
really?
Our colonial trauma.
You know, I just have
even
to
our post-colonial trauma.
I have to give a complete information. I just told you that actually in Jakarta, especially in Jakarta, some people really have nothing to do, and they make a lot of clubs of hobby, what they call hobby group. So it's not only the Plesiran group, there's also a Harry Potter group, and there's also the... No, it's true, there is. So it's a really strong one. And also there's a, what do you call, the Perang Dunia Kedua,
the Second World War.
Military, the Second World War, they all wear military clothes, not including the Nazi one, which is really, you know, but also some of them wear the Dutch, you know, and some of them wear the Indonesia, Tanah Air, you know, with the... so these people, I don't know what they do, but actually some of them also went to Napak Tilas to went to some historical places, and then they try to reenact whatever happened. But like I said, Plesiran is not only the only group. Yeah, there's a lot of groups. And, you know, I just think, you know, whatever you want to do. But I also have to give you information. The military one was criticized heavily, especially the Nazi. Yeah, because of the Nazi thing.
Yeah,
you know,
he was putting Hitler on the wall.
It's very politically incorrect. It's very bad. Yeah. So I think that they already abandoned that one. They only abandoned the Nazi one. Yeah. But answering your question, I have to be honest that Indonesians, the young people, which is, you know, the majority of the percentage, they don't really think about colonialism. You know, they for them it's more like facing America and the 911 thing and the all militants, militant Islam, militant any religion that are militant. How we can live together with all colors and all race and all religion. And the thing is, there is a growing militantism in Indonesia, you know. So that's what we're facing. We're not really, we don't really think of, like, that's not our priority to talk about, you know, like, oh, okay, that's at the back. We have the saying, a joke in among our generation that Belanda udah jauh. Artinya, they're already, you know.
Past.
Yeah.
We are history.
Yeah, history, and also I'm really sure Dutch people too. Dutch people already think about other things, you know, like, I think maybe some people still think about it, but Indonesians really think about, you know, what are we gonna do? We have an election, and there are two people. You know, I hardly hear anything about.
And then during leisure time there will be zombies, Harry Potter, or Jan Pieter Zokoen, or.
But you see, there's a romanticization from some young people. I mentioned to my friend that people really forget about history, right? So there's a romanticization about because we're facing an election July 9th, and then people are really thinking the symbol, Sukarno as a symbol. Not only the party of the Megawati, the party, but a lot of people. A lot of people are putting Sukarno as the symbol. And for me, you really have to read a lot, that who Sukarno was when he was the guy who proclaimed the independence. But at the end, in 1950s, who was Sukarno? You know what I mean? There's a long journey, a political journey. So the problem is I don't think they read history, or maybe if they read, they didn't care.
Or they just reinterpret, or.
Maybe, I don't know, but now Sukarno, the pictures is all over the place, and people are wearing the same thing like Sukarno. I don't know.
Yeah. But does it mean it means romanticization of past, and then we go back to the exhibition? Because if you read, for example, the book with the reactions of people who visited the exhibition, maybe 95%, I didn't count, but I just went through it very fast.
A lot of them.
Really, the majority will say, "Oh, this is beautiful, recognizable. Things are coming back." So there's a lot of nostalgia or remembering.
I understand that. Yeah.
There's some people will say, "Well, it's too confusing. It's too much." So it's more about the thing. And there are some, and that's a minority, would say this was very bad. And even the one says, "That's why the Dutch has to apologize."
What?
So people come from, somebody says after seeing the whole exhibition.
Yeah, but your question is
we have to apologize.
The last one or the nostalgia?
About what do you think about that?
About the last one?
Yeah.
Well, I was asked about this 2 years ago when I came to Den Haag.
This is not, I'm not the first one that asked.
Yeah, it's always that question.
It's an old question.
Which I don't, and I'm going to answer the same thing again, that my generation wasn't involved in that. So I don't feel I have the authority. I wasn't, I was not colonized. I didn't go through all this, So I think my parents have more authority on that, or my great parents, or that generation have more authority. This answer is exactly the same one when people ask about the 65. What should happen, Should the government acknowledge, it happened, and then they apologize to the victim? I always answer, I don't have the authority. I wasn't in jail. So it has to be from those two generations. They are the ones who have to sit down, If you want to go through the court, whatever, go ahead. If you want to have a reconciliation like the South African path, go ahead. But I'm the new generation. My thing is more the 98, when people were raped and killed. Then I can answer that.
Was the step down of Suharto?
Yeah, I can answer that because I experienced that. But I cannot answer for the 45 because I didn't experience. You have to ask from that generation. But apparently, if there are some people who still have some issues on that, then you really need to sit down and talk.
But can you imagine that people that this reaction is evoked by the exhibition?
Yeah, yes, I know. Not only at this exhibition, sometimes it's also evoked by when the Dutch government apologized about the Westerling thing. Yeah, when that happened, and then there was an uproar here. Well, in Indonesia, some people said, "Oh, okay, that's a good thing," but some other people said, "Oh, okay, well, our next president," there's. I'm not saying that people didn't care. But I think it's more, the uproar is more in Holland rather than in Indonesia. Because it's just that because we're just busy with our next step to being, building the nation, So Well, now you said that because it's evoked here. I believe that.
Yeah.
But that's the minority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the minority. Yeah.
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 But I also understand when people feel nostalgic about
Yeah.
Well, they live that period, so maybe they feel there's a part of them in that movie, you know. So
could you imagine Indonesians feeling nostalgic?
oh god.
That's hard.
From that, from the ones
Yeah.
that Péter Forgács selected, no. Except one or two, you know, the ones that there was a little bit of happiness on the
Jogja, the one.
yeah, Jogja, but that's a royal family.
Yeah.
I'm talking about there's a marriage, the Chinese and Dutch woman.
Yeah.
Now that one, that's a sweet home movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was, you know, like you feel there's an equality there. Yeah. But you know the rest, the sugar farm, you know, it's difficult to feel nostalgic about that. Yeah. Okay.
Well, one of the things then I think you refer to it, that when it was presented at where it was first exhibited in the film museum, it was presented as it was framed as a kind of historical document.
Oh.
And they presented like, we asked a Hungarian to make this because Dutch historians couldn't do it because they're still terlibat, biased. Yeah, exactly.
There's a conflict of interest.
Yeah. Do you think that could they frame this as a historical document or a writing of history? Does it influence the way you're looking at it?
Well, no, it wouldn't influence me. Whatever label you see, you put it. I mean, if you put this in a museum and you name it as a partial documentary made by a collage or a montage of home movies, you know, then you treat that as a documentary, and then you put it here, and then you give that name. Yeah, I think I would look at it the same way, you know, because I'm sorry if I have to mention a little bit about my
Sure.
work, because I think the reason why Tong Tong asked me to do this, it's because that's the way I treat my book. It was inspired by historical people, real people, and inspired by, you know, real events, historical events, big ones in Indonesia, 65, 98, and also 68 in Paris. But the whole thing is fiction, you know, so people still see it, people understand this is fiction, but people's reaction when they read the book, I think it's the same way as my reaction when I see this. It is an art exhibition to me, you know, because the curator was really selecting and trying to make a story, although it's bits and pieces, through, you know, home movies, archive. Now, I was kind of doing that too, although it's fiction, it was with words. Yeah. And my reaction towards that is the same when people read my book. Although it's a story, it's fiction, still they feel that, oh my God, that's what I felt, you know? So it doesn't matter how
It doesn't matter
it's
because
it's going to mempengaruhi, influence me the same way. Yeah.
And it's the interaction between you and what you see and what you hear.
I think that's the most important thing. Yes.
That's the way how it works. But
Yes.
it evokes a lot of discussion, and that's good.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Leila, thank you very much for your...
You're welcome. I hope it helps.
You have been working hard to get through all this material. Thank you for listening, and give a big hand for Leila.
Thank you.